Hey, welcome back to the Crazy J Podcast Show. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the weekly update of the Detroit Lions post game recap that I do about the Detroit Lions. I have to talk about the score here, 27-34 overtime win for Detroit. Probably was not the game that we were expecting to see, such a close game, a tight squeeze out of this moment of despair. Detroit is now 7-4. We should be considering very lucky that we didn't lose to this the Giants team. Basically because everyone in our division is going uphill. Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers, the Vikings. I think they lost though, but everyone in our division, they're just looking great. All right, but let's really talk about Aidan Hutchinson. The guy basically saves the day for Detroit. Uh, the Giants, Winston, they were down on their last fourth down conversion in the OT. Winston's run out of the pocket. Hutchinson just keeps his motor running, and finally catches up to Winston. Didn't have no one to throw the ball to. And that is basically the game in itself for Detroit. If it wasn't for that play in itself, I don't know what type of mood we would be in if we lost that game. This is the reason why we draft a guy like Hutchinson. This is the reason why we pay this guy like Hutchinson. And remember, folks, a lot of people would say, "Well, he didn't do much the whole game." Well, that's not the point. The point is that a guy like that makes his moments when it's the game comes to him. And great stars, great running backs, great defensive players. Doesn't matter if it's basketball, baseball, football. They allow the game come to them, and that's what happens. And Aiden Hutchinson just kept plugging, had the opportunity to sack Winston, and boom, it was a great game for Detroit. I would tell you this, folks. If you look at this game, the overtime 27-34. Uh, I'm gonna go over a couple of these stats for you. Just player stats. Jameis Winston had 366 yards. He basically uh, destroys Detroit's cornerback safeties, but they had a lot of trick plays in theirs. Obviously, the first play of the first drive for the Giants, they do kind of flea flicker back from Signatory to Winston to Wandell Robinson for a 39-yard touchdown pass, which is basically what Detroit does. Detroit does these type of plays, and they kind of took a page out of our book, and they put Detroit in a bad spot right away, and that is something that you kind of got to give, Mike Kafka, the guy that's the interim head coach for the Giants, credit for at least trying to win the game, and at least trying to get things moving. Winston really loves Kafka. He loves how he's brought the team together. The team seems to be playing real well for the Giants for Winston and Kepka. But going down with that, I mean, you got to give this other uh, receiver quarterback, Ozanski. He throws a touchdown pass to Winston in the second half for 33 yards. Now I'll go through the recaps of the game in itself a little later. But that's another trick play. And who would have thought of that, you know? I mean, basically the Giants had Detroit in a stranglehold for majority of the game. And this is something that we have to kind of, for Detroit fans, we have to realize that we have some guys who are hurt. We have Terran Arnold hurt. We got Joseph, a cornerback safety. He's hurt. So I think Joseph has got a concussion protocol in itself. But this is the whole year. This is what happens. Um, but the good thing about Detroit that we did have Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries, 219 yards, two touchdowns. Uh, and thank goodness for the OT touchdown from Gibbs to get 69 yards for first play in OT. Puts Detroit ahead. Bates hits the extra point to make it a 7 point game. But this is something that this is very, very I'm kind of having mixed feelings a little bit about this. You got Gibbs with 15 touches. You only got David Montgomery with five touches for 18 yards, but in total they had 237 yards in rushing. So that is something that you kind of want to see. If you look at Amon St. Brown's receiving nine receptions, 149 yards, one touchdown. The longest one was 30 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 11 receptions, 45 yards, 12 targets, uh, one touchdown for Gibbs and for him and himself. I'm gonna be honest with you, folks. I think the game is Detroit in the past have had other opportunities to go to the tight ends. Against Sam Laporta is out, probably with a back. He just recently had back surgery, so he'll be out for the rest of the season probably. Um, but this is something that this 1-2 punch Gibbs and St. Brown, it just kind of it's a thing that we kind of have to get used to. We like the ball be spread around more. Brock Wright did get involved in the first drive, and I thought that's the way we were going to go through the whole game in itself because that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see tight ends like Brock Wright involved. Uh, Tesla, rookie, I didn't really do much effects to it, but Kelly Raymond had two receptions, 37 yards, 20 yards is the longest for a first down, I think. But if we go to uh, the touchdown, the scoring drives, we should really talk about um, how the Giants just did that trick play again for that 39-yard touchdown, 70 yards, total yards, and it was something that was a trick play with Wandell Robinson. So that took Detroit in a bad spot. In Detroit, they didn't do much in the first quarter. They kind of blundered and they punted the ball the first three drives, I think, and then again when the Giants on their third drive had 10 plays for 87 yards. Uh, they did have the Detroit did give up a lot of big plays. They one down Robinson, another one for 40 yards down the field, and another one on 24 yards pass to make it 10-3 for a field goal, for a 21-yard field goal for the Giants. Starting in the second quarter, uh, Detroit Detroit does score, but Detroit had a 20-yard pass to Brock Wright, which is something that you want to see. You want your uh, the ball be spread around as much as possible. So Brock Wright, tight end, great to see him. David Montgomery had a 9-yard pass reception, and then I had a 3-yard run. Montgomery, 18-yard pass to St. Brown, 11-yard pass again for a touchdown to St. Brown to make it 10-7, and the Giants winning. The Giants uh, go right back to the scoring board, and then again, Detroit gives up a 42-yard pass to Tyrone Tracy Jr. Uh, Detroit, this is something I don't want this to be a bad habit to see, but I don't want this to be a bad habit for Detroit. So we had 42-yard pass to Tyrone Tracy to do Detroit's 27-yard line. And then they also gave up a 13-yard run to Singletary, a touchdown pass to Hodgins from Winston to make it 17-7. So if you look at this, you're looking at Detroit. They look kind of struggling. They don't see. We're just not used to this. This is something that's different. Dan Campbell again is doing the play call. I think he's got a little bit better and better. And I'll go through that part of the game a little later. Detroit did give up a sack. But that's what it is. We had to punt the ball. Again, with that sack, we went to Jahmyr Gibbs for a total of 11 yards, 2 rushes. The Giants in the second quarter on their for I think the second drive in the second quarter they 3 and out. Detroit scores 14 to 17. 3 plays. They started on the 39-yard line of Detroit. 61 yards, a minute 45. 49-yard run from Gibbs. Gibbs is, the Gibbs is the man. Without Gibbs, I don't know where Detroit would be right now. So Detroit, the Giants give up a lot of a lot of yards on the ground. 49 yards again for Gibbs, and then touchdown run for Gibbs itself to make obviously that 14-7. And then the Giants moved the ball downfield the next time they have the ball. 6 plays, 56 yards, minute and 38 seconds. There was a pass interference on Janssen, but this is the play on Zlowinski. But there was a 26-yard pass to one down Robinson from Winston to Detroit Lions 29-yard line in a field goal to make it 2014. If you go into uh, the next drive for Detroit, you see Detroit at the end of the second quarter. We scored a field goal. Caleb Raymond caught a 30-yard pass for on New York Giants 23-yard line. A 37-yard field goal from Bates to make it 2017. Again, if you look at that, the end of the second quarter, it was important for Detroit to keep their pace close to the Giants as much as possible. So that's something that you have to kind of consider, that in some ways, Detroit has so much talent on the field that we are capable of making comebacks. We're capable of keeping the pace on bad teams. Again, just because the team is bad like the Giants, it doesn't mean the whole team is bad. It just means that they had a couple of bad plays, a couple of bad calls, or a lot of bad series in the past of the previous games. But those guys are probably at the point of the Giants right now are probably at the point where they're playing to keep their jobs for next year. I know it's a little early to talk about that, but the Giants are doing that. So going on to the third quarter, uh, Detroit gets the ball first. They punted the ball, but there was a penalty on glass now. The Giants get their first possession in the third quarter. They punt the ball, but Detroit did give up a 24-yard pass to Thomas Johnson to Theodore Johnson. So again, that's another big play that Detroit's given up over 20 yards. So that's something to really think about in the future for Detroit Lions. That may be something to talk about against uh, the Packers. So if Detroit gives up big plays to the Packers, I don't see how Detroit's going to be able to keep up with the Packers. I know that it's a division rival team, but the Packers don't play bad against Detroit. In Detroit, I was in Detroit a couple years ago for Thanksgiving against the Packers, and they basically kind of beat us, and it was not fun to be there at that point. So Detroit, they moved the ball. The next possession for Detroit, they moved the ball down 70 yards down the field. St. Brown uh, doesn't catch the football, deflects the ball, and he basically gives up their interception to Holland of the Giants. And that's, Detroit had a great drive and everything was cut off. Sometimes I think that St. Brown is missing a lot of catches. I think maybe he's just getting rattled a little bit. He knows that if he's catching the ball in the middle of the field where the linebackers and the cornerbacks and safeties are, you're going to have your eyes somewhere where the bar is not because you don't want to get hit. That is a true statement from any receiver that plays inside receiver. Uh, but the Giants scores on the next drive to make it 27-17, a 5-minute drive, 9 plays for 85 yards. Uh, this passing interference on third down is what killed Detroit. Uh, They kept the drive going for the Giants. That's something that you can't do. You cannot. Uh, you can't give up penalties like that, cheap penalties from to give to your opponent. So along the way, uh, uh, that's just one of those things. So the Giants scores. They're back up 10 points up against Detroit again, but Detroit comes back on their next drive to score a 27-yard pass to St. Brown and then a 49-yard run from uh, Gibbs. So again, when you have that 1-2 punch, you're going to get your guy. You're going to get your guy. You're going to get your St. Brown and Gibbs. Do I want to see Brock Wright involved more? Yes. Do I want to see Tesla get involved more? Yes. Do I think that Caleb Freeman should be involved more? Yes. But I don't know. I don't know if the new offense and the new play caller Dan Campbell hasn't been able to get the ball to those guys, or does he know something that we don't know? That's something to think about. So the Giants give up an interception. Harper from Detroit uh, makes the interception. That's huge. That's something that Dan Campbell did say at halftime when he talked to the broadcasters or announcers on the field that uh, he wanted a takeaway. And Detroit didn't get a takeaway in the first half. So that's something that Detroit is very, very fortunate of that. Unfortunately, Detroit goes 3-and-out. Um, Not a great thing. I would just say that sometimes, you know, you got to bounce on your opportunities as fast as possible. The Giants, they had 14 plays on the next drive, 84 yards, 86 yards. They started on the 8-yard line of Detroit of their own. But this is something in the fourth quarter. Uh, this is something that we got to talk about the Giants. So this is the fourth quarter, by the way, folks. So in the fourth quarter, the Giants had an opportunity to go up by 6 points, and they do not take the field goal, and they go for it. And now this is something that you just cannot really do. I think that I don't know why they did that. I think that's something that it's just kind of mind boggling. You're a team that's struggling, the Giants. You're on the road. You need to get points. And if you get those points to make it 6 points, the Detroit Lions have to go down the field to get 6 points and a field goal to win it. Now, if he misses the extra point, you're tied. And remember, this is about 2 minutes and 58 seconds left. And Detroit gets the ball about 2 minutes and 26 seconds left. And then move the ball downfield. Uh, Basically, everything was St. Brown and Gibbs. And Bates hits a 53-yard field goal. And then Detroit got lucky because Decker had a an offensive penalty on Detroit. So Detroit's lucky that they didn't get kind of screwed over. So in the overtime, the first drive that we have, Gibbs scores a touchdown, and then by the end of the game, you have uh, by uh, by the end of the game, the Giants have the ball, and they kept moving the ball down the field pretty well. There was a passing interference on Detroit, or yeah, I think no, there was an offsides of Detroit on McNeil. So there was an offsides on Detroit, which kept the drive going. But Winston uh, kept it moving by running for 11 yards to make the first down. So again, if it wasn't for Aidan Hutchinson, I don't know what we'd be talking about. Would we be talking about resting players and for waiting for next year? You never know. If Detroit, I think if Detroit would have lost, they would have been 6-5. But it was we're 7-4. So so what do we take from this game? I think we take away two things, at least three things. First of all, I want to say I'm very proud of uh, of Dan Campbell of not going on fourth downs at all. 0 for 0. This is something that I'm very happy to see. Now I know that Detroit did have the ball in a very good field position starting out almost every possession that they had. But still, Detroit did not go for fourth down. They played the field. They made their their mark. They made the Giants make a mistake, and the mistake that the Giants made was shot them in the foot by going on fourth down and not kicking the field goal. Yes, I know that would have been 2 minutes and 38 seconds or 2 minutes and 45 seconds or whatever. And Detroit could have went down the field and scored a touchdown, and we would have won the game. But you have to allow the other team make mistakes, and then you don't make things easier for the other team by making your own mistakes. So I gotta say Dan Campbell did a good job. He did not go on fourth down. This is something that I'm very happy to see. What do I expect from Detroit for from Green Bay? It's going to be a hard net game. It's going to really depend on our cornerbacks, if we're going to get Tyrone Arnold back, if we're going to get uh, um, he's going blank in my head. Um, if we're going to get the other guy, gosh darn it, it's not Branch. It's yeah, but injuries is what's going to kill Detroit. Detroit is going to kill Detroit if we don't get guys back soon. This is a kind of a game that's going to be only a 4-day layout. So, do I expect a high scoring game? I don't know. This could be a high expect game against the Green Bay Packers, only because both teams are on a very short week. Both teams are probably going to be tired. So there'll probably be like 35-42 or something like that. I Detroit was tired against the Giants when the Giants kept the ball on the field. So no trick plays. Let's do three things for Detroit. Let's control Jordan Love in the pocket. Let's control the run defense, and let's not allow Love to find receivers open after 2.5 seconds. And I would also point out that Detroit needs to do three things: keep running the football, distribute the ball to all your receivers, St. Brown, Khalif Raymond, and Brock Wright. And then I would also, last but not least, I would also play the possession of the field, the possession of of the game. That made no sense. I don't know what I just said, but I'm going to try this again. Detroit has to play the possession of the field, where they're going to be. It's important to know where you're going to be on the field, on what down when it is, what quarter it is, what the score is. Don't give Green Bay a short field. That means do not go for it. If it's 0-0 in the third quarter and both teams are struggling to score, allow your defense to win the game. Okay. I don't know. I think I just messed up there, but three. I'm just rambling right now. That's all I'm doing, right? Rambling. So Detroit wins a very important game. Good job, Detroit. Um, I don't know if there's anything else I want to say, but all right. Thank you for popping back on the show. Follow me on YouTube, on the Patreon, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your down podcasts. I'm here for you. Peace, love, and I'm out of here.